Greetings, brothers and sisters. Today I would like to touch on the subject of vampirism. So without further ado, let's get into it. Some people look down on the practice of vampirism, believing that what type of person would have to vampirize somebody else? They would have to be weak, right? They would have to be parasitic, right? They would have to be such low leeches that they can't accumulate their own spiritual power and energy. I was under the same apprehension myself. I was under the same thought myself. However, let me tell you, that is a misconception. You see, vampirism can be used as a tool. It can be used to vampirize actual baneful energies out of somebody that you're healing and install that energy into something else. Vampirism also allows the magician or the individual how to better control not only their own energy, but the energy all around them. And finally, vampirism becomes the greatest weapon when it comes to baneful magic, literally weakening your subject before placing a curse on them, before sending a spirit out to actually go and do the attack. So vampirism isn't actually a parasitic spiritual art. Vampirism is actually a very powerful art, one which I believe everybody should learn how to do. I've had multiple people who will reach out to me and say, how do I protect myself from vampirism? And I tell them, begin vampirism. They don't understand, because how can you protect yourself from something if you're not used to it, if you don't know how to use it? You can use vampirism to fight off other vampires. You see, vampirism can be done consciously or can be done subconsciously. And there are many people in our lives, like you may have a couple out there right now. There may be somebody in your life that are always coming around you with drama, with gossip, with toxicity, with rumors. And every time they step into the room, there's like this negativity. They may be your friend, they may be your lover, they may be your family. You may actually care or love them, but as soon as they leave, it's like a pressure is lifted off your shoulders. And you tell yourself, I like having them around, but because you notice it changes the environment. And you'll actually feel constantly drained after speaking to these people. Sometimes you think, it's just because of what they're talking about, it tired me out. A lot of the times, they're actually unconsciously vampirizing you. See, vampirism is something that can be done consciously and unconsciously. So, I've had a couple people through my live streams reach out to me and say, hey, you've done a couple of videos on vampirism. They weren't of the best quality. You know, you were doing them back then, before you even had a tripod, before you had anything really. And that's true. So what I'm doing now is I'm giving you a new and improved form of vampirism. It's going to be a better quality, as we can see. And yeah, let's have some fun with it, shall we? First, let's run over the principles that you need, or the abilities that you need to actually perform vampirism. Do you need the blessings of some vampiric entity? Do you need to be initiated? No and no. Vampirism is essentially not an ability, but it's the usage of certain abilities that you already possess. It's more of a spiritual art than anything. It's a predatorial art, right? It's a warfare, battle-based spiritual art. It's not the parasitic one, okay? So these are the things that you need to be able to do. One, you need to be able to visualize. I know there are some people out there that don't have the greatest visualization skills. There have been some of my clients that are unable to visualize, and what I'll tell them is, try your very best, picture what you're doing. Even if you can't visualize it intensely, just know what you're doing. Have that intention. Sometimes, just sometimes, the intention is enough. But try and work on your visualization, guys. Try to. Number two is receptivity. What do I mean by receptivity? Can you feel your own energy? Can you feel the energy pulsate in a certain area if you focus on that area? Can you feel energy beyond you and around you as well as within you? If you can, then perfect, because that is a vital ability that we all need to begin in vampirism. Visualization, receptivity. Number three, can you shut this off? What do I mean? Shut off the mind. This comes with every spiritual practice. Magic, spells, rituals, meditations, tutorials, exercises, whatever the case. Learn to shut off the logical, analytical mind Because right now we're about to do something which is illogical. Look, when you're working within the framework of magic, not everything can be described scientifically. I like to approach magic with a scientific method sometimes. However, I understand that not everything can be approached within the paradigm of science or logic or anything like that. So let's begin. I would actually suggest that you find somebody that can sit down and do this with you. Somebody who's a willing participant. If you can't get a willing participant, then we're going to do a very black magician thing here. Go out in public. Go into a place where there are many people around you. Okay, now I know with the whole coronavirus thing and everything like that, it's a bit difficult, you know. Social distance, my guy, social distance, you know. But whatever. Basically, you want to be near an actual individual. What we're going to do here is vampirism without actually touching somebody, okay? What I want you to first do is work on your receptivity. Before you go outdoors actually and start vampirizing someone, I want you to work on your receptivity. How do we do this? About the distance between me and my camera right now, it's a couple feet before me. Set something up like an object. Now, I would actually suggest using a crystal because crystals have perfect energy for this. If not, a simple object will do. Place that object about eye level towards you. Okay, and you want to be standing or sitting, whatever the case is. I want to begin relaxing. Enter into a meditative state. Don't meditate, enter into a meditative state. This is where you become aware of your breath, the rhythm of your breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just like that, okay? If you can do that, perfect. What I want you to do is, I want you to focus your vision on that object. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to push your breath, but not only your breath, your energy. As you breathe out, allow the essence of your energy to actually go towards the object and enter the actual object. As that object takes of your energy, I want you to feel, know, see, visualize, whatever, that object breathes out. Like it exhales too. It exhales its breath, its energy. And as it exhales, take an inhalation. And then you'll be pulling in the energy of that object. And I want you to repeat this. I want you to then exhale outwards, emanating your energy to that object. And as the object takes that energy in and breathes outwards, bring that energy into you. This simple, basic exercise, this basic technique. Now you can visualize actual energy flowing through your being too. You can visualize the energy, like as you breathe, that the energy rises with an inhalation, spiraling, moving in whatever type of way you visualize it as. And as you breathe it out, you can breathe out that energy. It's up to you. Use what personally works for you, okay? So through an exhalation, we're giving energy to the object, and through an inhalation, we're taking the energy of the object into us. Keep doing this, and eventually it's going to become easier. It's going to become second nature, and you'll begin to feel this pulsation, a back and forth momentum. It almost feels like an electrical magnetism. This pulsating. People have described it in different ways. I've had people say it feels like a wave. They feel a wave coming from them, going to the object, and then the wave reverses from the object back to them. I've had other people tell me that they just feel it like a ping pong ball bouncing back and forth. Some people actually will say that I feel like I'm breathing into a tube, and then I'm just getting this other different fresh type of air from another environment through a second tube, like they're holding two tubes in their mouth. Whatever the case is, experience it. Allow yourself to open up to the experience. If you're not feeling anything right away, don't be hard on yourself. Everybody has different levels of development, and some things take longer than others for different people, okay? So that is key. Take your time. Don't be hard on yourself. Once you begin to feel that energy fluctuation between you and that object, what I want you to do is I want you to do this for a couple of days. Maybe a couple hours. Maybe that's all it'll take, whatever. It depends on how much time you have. Okay, you want to get this down. You want to get this to the point where no longer will you do it within the comfort of your own home. You maybe sit in opposite somebody, and without them knowing, you're breathing in and out, and you're passing energy to them and you're pulling energy out of them. Okay, you're not actually vampirizing somebody at this point. You're sharing sort of energy between each other. And we're actually doing this constantly. Every object that we come into contact with, we leave an energetic signature. We leave an impression upon it. Energy is free flowing constantly around us. In the end though, you're going to be able to sit opposite somebody or next to somebody or stand behind somebody or whatever the case is. And with time and with practice, this breathing technique of feeling their energy coming to you and your energy going to them, you want to get into that state. Begin breathing and begin feeling that fluctuation, that pulsation, whatever you feel between you and your target. You and your target. Okay? Because that's what this person is. People may say that's a little fucked up to call people targets. Look, this is vampirism. This is a war-based spiritual system here. This isn't for the faint of heart. If you want that Gentile, fluffy, snowflake stuff, go somewhere else, and it was nice to meet you. But vampirism is what we're here for. So, when you're standing in front of your target, behind your target, beside your target, whatever the case is, feeling that ebb and flow and fluctuation, what I want you to begin to do is I want you to actually begin having this pulsation increase in momentum, increase in speed, increase in speed. Feel the gentleness of their energy coming into you. But in the end, I want you to increase the energy within your own being. Push harder. Taking their energy in, but push harder. What you're essentially doing is you're pushing more force behind your energy. You're trying to penetrate their auric field with more force. Don't squeeze, don't shake or anything like that. Allow your energy to gain a critical mass. You can do a visualization technique for this, where you visualize your energy as water, for example, like a stream, and then all of a sudden the water becomes chaotic like waves, and it builds up this momentum, builds up this fury, whatever. You can use chants also, guys, increasing the power of your own energy. One great chant that I like to use was one that I was given by Etlios, a demon in the book of Azazel, and that chant is Sanash Alku Itzwalipe Cantantu. Sanash Alku Itzwalipe Cantantu. Okay? And as I begin reciting that, I'll feel my energy increase. It's an actual chant given to people to actually raise the spiritual vibration or energy of any object and even the self. So once your energy begins taking on more of a dominating essence, your energy becomes much more furious, much more domineering, much more potent and stronger than your target. Your energy is going to be able to overwhelm that target's energy. Okay? And essentially it becomes a battle of wills. At this point, it becomes a battle of wills. If you are weak-willed and that person is strong-willed, you're probably going to lose the battle. If you can't raise your energy to intense degrees, go back to the temple, go back to the ritual area, start focusing on the speed, increasing the speed of raising your energy from a low vibration to a high vibration, or a more subtle vibration to a more ferocious vibration. Essentially, you want your being to be peaceful, and then all of a sudden, as you're beginning to push through that auric field, to break through the astral defenses, you want to gain a more intense, more aggressive form and rhythm of your own natural energy. Once you can do that, you'll begin to peer through their actual auric field. What about people who have spiritual defenses then? If somebody has a spiritual defense, what you want to do is you actually want to begin focusing on your toxicity. Believe it or not, guys, no matter how many times you purify yourself, no matter how many times you are performing cleansings or whatever, unless you're living like a monk who doesn't eat meat, who doesn't smoke, who drink alcohol or whatever, you're going to have a little bit of toxicity. That's fine. That's like all things have bacteria. That's fine, okay? What I want you to do is to gather this toxicity and spit it at him. If you hear me, spit it at him. I believe that it was in Michael W. Ford's work. I could be incorrect, but he speaks about the vampire having a toxic core. The toxic core, basically working on that core. This is essentially what I would call the inner dark singularity. that inner dark singularity. The black magician will know exactly what I'm talking about. Those who have worked with demons, those who have worked with more malign deities, they'll often turn inward and can feel or sense this inner blackness. This is an energy. This is a very violent energy. How do we further empower that core? Maybe a day or two before you're actually performing this vampiric draining, you invoke Lilith, for example, or you invoke Samael, for example, or you want to take this up a notch, you invoke Samael and Lilith simultaneously, those consorts. The reason why, infernal energy, you want to integrate their energy and increase that blackness within your core. So for example, I would say something as simple as I would open up Lilith's sigil. And as I open up Lilith's sigil, I may put some blood on it, and then I may invoke her. And then as she distills into my being, I'll say, Lilith, enter into me, enter into the inner blackness of my core. Infuse your poisons into my core. I drink of the chalice of fornication. I drink of the poisonous nectars of the Queen of Citrahara. You're essentially pulling in these toxic energies. To us, we're performing an inner alchemy. The black magician is able to compartmentalize and take spiritual poisons and transform them into nectars. However, when these are pushed into mundane individuals, it is just a poison. They haven't acclimatized themselves to those energies, and ergo, spitting that spiritual blackness, if you will, at your target is going to help you massively. How do we do that? Focus on that blackness. Once we begin pushing against their astral defenses through visualization or whatever, maybe you're visualizing tendrils, maybe you're visualizing talons extend from your auric field, or maybe you're just pushing your energy and essence towards them. Whatever the case is, at that point you want to gather up all the spiritual blackness, raising it all through your being, and as you breathe out, actually visualize a blackness like you're spewing it forth, almost like a symbiote. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Venom, but that blackness, that living blackness, spitting it at them, burning through their astral defenses. There are various invocations you can do of vampiric entities. Lilith will be a great one. Lilith will be an excellent one. Lamashtu and so on and so forth. These more aggressive, furious, vampiric type of entities. As well as Asjahi. So actually having these spiritual vampiric beings empower that blackness is going to allow you to have more force to break through people's defenses. Okay? Once you've broken through, once you actually can feel that energy before you, ready for the taking, you can feel it all spiraling, ebbing and fluctuating. Alright? What you're going to do is you're going to focus on that blackness, once again, within your core, and you're just going to simply breathe in and pull that energy out. Wherever you want to pull energy from, that is where you will visualize. That's where you'll focus all your attention. E.A. Quettin once said, and it was a great quote, where the mind goes, the rest of you follows. And this is something that's often been spoken about in yogic path workings and yogic teachings and in Hindu teachings and philosophy, that wherever this goes, wherever our consciousness goes, our observation, the rest will follow. Ergo, if we're focusing on a specific chakra and we're trying to drain that chakra, your energy will leach into that and pull from that. If you're focusing on just their accumulative energy, whatever the case is, visualize it, focusing on it, and keep it locked in here. Begin pulling, begin sensing the energy. Before you take it, sense it. How does it feel? How does it feel? Know though that as you're siphoning this energy from that area, this person could have toxic energies, my friend. They could have toxic energies. If that is the case, you're going to want to lock in on that center, lock in on that point. Begin breathing in through breath, just pulling that energy through your being. And as you pull it in, pull it into the blackness. That blackness of your core. If you haven't done work in on that core, begin performing, like I said, invocations of vampiric entities. I would suggest you look into Lilith. Look into Lilith. Look into some of the amazing invocations that a scene of Masons put out there, for example, Michael W. Ford. There are many out there, many out there. Perform that invocation and feel her poisonous nectars gathering within this dark core of yours. Spewing that forth, breaking down their astral defenses. Now siphoning the energy, ready for the taking, ready for the plucking, like stealing candy from a baby. Pulling that into your being. Feel it. Don't just see it. Don't just know it. You need to feel it. You need to actually feel that you are pulling this energy out of them. At which point, pull that energy and gather it into that black core. With a deep inhalation, hold your breath. As you hold your breath, feeling your lungs contract and your entire body contract, as you're holding your breath, you want to visualize and collect all that energy and feel it breaking down there. Okay? Feel it breaking down there. Essentially what you're doing is the filtering process. This is a basic, quick, easy, novice method of vampirism. Gathering their essence, gathering their energy, because it could be toxic. This person could be more fucked up than you realize. Siphoning that, putting that within your own toxic core that you've previously stimulated using external forces or vampiric entities through invocations, like Lilith, for example. Breaking down their essence within that dark core, essentially burning off all the gunk and all the toxicity. And as you begin doing that, breathe out after holding your breath for a couple of seconds and feel the energy vibrate for the rest of your being. Perhaps you want to store that energy within a certain chakra, within a certain energy center, within a certain location, whatever the case. Some people also like to take out stones with them or crystals, and they like to hold it in their right hand, and they like to gather that energy within that stone. That's something you could do too. This, my friend, is vampirism at an intermediate distance. They're near you, but they're not right next to you. You're not touching them. Touching somebody is easy. You can place your hands on them and feel their energy. And as a matter of fact, your auric field and their auric field, when you're touching, almost seem to be overlapping. This is why a lot of people don't like to be touched, because there is an intimacy with it. A spiritual intimacy, not only a physical one. So once you've broken through somebody's astral defenses, that's going to be the biggest challenge for most people. Breaking through the astral defenses. It's a battle of wills. You need to work on that aggressive, more domineering energy within you. There are all different ways to do it. Perhaps you've got the toxicity down. Perhaps you've got that dark core down within your own being. The core of the vampire, the core of that spiritual predator. Which, like I said, Michael W. Ford's work, you've got to check that out on that. But for those that may be, let's say, more passive, let's say more feminine, which there's nothing wrong with that. Let's say you're more passive, okay? Let's say you're a guy, you're more passive, you don't really have that much of a domineering, that much of an aggressive force. Start invoking Martian entities. Start calling upon Aries. Start doing those invocations. Because a lot of people do invocations, and they just do invocations just for the sake of it. This is what we're doing with certain invocations. We're taking these external forces, we're bringing them into us, and we're allowing them to empower us for specific intentions. So what you may lack within your own being, you can begin actually invoking beforehand. And work on your will. You should have a strong will anyway before attempting vampirism. You're attempting to battle somebody else. An unseen, unheard battle by them, but their higher self knows. The silent part of their spirit knows that they're under attack. They may not react. However, sometimes they do. Don't drain the person too much, because you can cause illness. You can cause them to be severely drained or imbalanced and stuff like that. Not only that, you can do this for baneful reasons, but I wouldn't suggest just going around banefully draining people. It's not something I'd suggest. It's great to do this with somebody who's actually like a donor, for example. Somebody who is receptive, somebody who is willing to do it for you. Because at first they can open up. They can allow you access to do a little bit of draining, a little bit of siphoning of their energy. And then over time, once you get used to somebody being receptive and open, then you can go forward and then you can start draining somebody or vampirizing somebody whose defenses are closed down. Our magic should be further empowering us for all these different spiritual arts. You need to build yourself up as that spiritual warrior. There are many of you out there that may not see use for this. What's the harm in learning such a vital skill? It is a vital skill, my friend. It really is. It really is. Vampirism can be applied to so many other forms of magic and spirituality. You'd be surprised. So, brothers and sisters, this is merely one method out of a million different methods that I can give you. This is the most basic, one of the most simplest forms of vampirism there is. This is a basic form of vampirism. We'll get into more in-depth and more intricate methods of vampirism, I suppose, in another video. Until we meet again, brothers and sisters, infernal blessings to you all, and I hope you have a great day or great night, wherever you may be. If you like this video and you want to see more vampiric videos with much more in-depth information, maybe some of those invocations that I was touching on previously, drop a like down below, share this video, comment, tell me what you think about all of this, and if you'd like to see more videos on it. So, infernal blessings to you all, and peace.